Good evening. It's October 29th, 2024, 6 PM. I'm going to call this budget meeting to order. If everyone wants to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilmember Keel.
Present.
Councilmember Katie Spain McLaren.
Present.
I'm present. Also in attendance here is Councilmember Soriento, Council President Steele ex officio, Councilmember Casey, and Councilmember Vera. All right, we're going to start off with code. Starting with code. First one on the list.
Need to speak into the mic, I think.
Thank you.
Is that better? Yeah.
I want this.
For what?
It's never used, but
Yeah, but it makes you feel so darn important.
I'm gonna take a picture of it in this hand.
I think you want Carlo, don't you?
Chair, do you mind a quick overview?
Sure.
Couple quick things. First and foremost, this particular department, like all of our departments, have just done a phenomenal job. They're doing more with less. The Deputy Mayor, Joe Mazzarello, as our General Services Commish, in each of the departments under General Services, you're going to hear just some really great things on the front burner, fixing things that have been lapsed in terms of our infrastructure, in terms of staffing, etc. A few things I wanted to kick off. As you know, in January, we kicked off with the Quality of Life Action Task Force, just all about more to kick off our administration to get departments to coordinate more, to get departments to talk to each other. One example, and Joe and Seamus and myself visited sanitation and streets. They're in the same garage. The two departments in the same garage, half and half, we're not communicating. We're not coordinating. We're not working together. The synergy, not just with GS, General Services, but with all of our departments, whether it be police, fire, General Services, community police, you name it, they are now coordinating. That's really the crux of the Quality of Life Action Task Force. I did want to announce, as many of you know, we held off with the code department, since you're kicking off with that department, Councilman Brosnan. And as you're aware, we made a huge effort to overhaul this department, to look at the department. How is the department working with planning, with zoning, working with our police force? Seamus, our deputy mayor, has instituted prior to various planning meetings, things like that, workshops where all the departments are working together. And we're really proud to announce, after not filling the vacancy of code enforcement director, we're proud to announce that we have offered and he has accepted. He is a 17-year veteran. He will be our acting code director, and we're giving him a shot. We have complete confidence. Carlo Soriento. Congratulations, Carlo. And what we found in code, and I'll let Joe talk about code a little, is once again, we knew the landlord registry years behind. We knew that some of these, multi-unit apartment complexes were not certified or were not contacting us in terms of their elevator usage, things to that nature. Sprinkler systems, thank you. So they have literally taken the department to the next level. We believe that Carlo now is the perfect person. And, I know you're a little biased, Councilmember Soriento, but Carlo, we have full confidence. He will be acting director. And once again, congratulations, Carlo. Additionally, just some of the other departments, so we don't go department by department. I did want to give just a quick overview. The Nick Pool, as you know, that we are gearing up to have that open by 2025 next year. You'll see it in the budget when we get to that particular department. We're very excited. Bids are going out by the end of the month, and we hope to break ground later this year. If not, we will be breaking ground in February or March, as soon as obviously the ground thaws. But we do plan to have the Nick Pool constructed, open by next year. Additionally, the ice rink, you'll also see that department. Once we get to that, we're looking to have that open by the end of the year, a great partnership with the county. I want to thank the majority for your support on that. $2.5 million facility, and we hope to have that open by the end of the year. Park Pub, we know a lot of people are itching for that RFP. The lease expired many moons ago. We hope to have that out within the next 10 to 14 days. So that RFP for a new leasing in the kitchen. And I know the Park Pub is having, the last tournament, the last shirts. But saying that, we want to thank Mark. He's been great at the Park Pub, but that RFP will go out the next 10 to 14 days. Once again, I cannot say enough about our facilities, our youth services. Each department has really stepped it up and really is doing more with less. And I really want to compliment the two folks to my right and left. I want to compliment all the folks back there, from the laborers on up to the supervisors. This is a conservative budget, but we're confident that using this money, folks are already seeing that they're getting more services for the bang for their buck. And come 2025, they'll continue, because every day we just learn more and more about what is happening, what's on the front burner, and we're looking at various departments to really take a look and overhaul some of the practices that have been around for years and years. So I'll pass it over to Joe Maz, and then he'll introduce you to our new acting code director. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we are excited to have Carl on board. He's been providing some great ideas. We're excited to work with him. I'm excited to work with him and, implement some good ideas that he's coming from. Not just with code, but like the mayor said, our budget, we are doing more with less. Our services are increasing and our expenditures are decreasing. We can provide that proof to you within this budget. This budget 2024 wasn't our budget, and we still made it work. And then there's going to be some conservative moves we made for next year, and we're confident that's going to work. So I won't keep this going. I will let Carla come up, introduce himself, and we can get going.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carlos Soriento, as most see it now. Before we leave this, or at the end of this meeting, if those of you who don't have my number, can you please text me? Because in the next couple months, what I would like to do is schedule a sit down with each council member to go over stuff that's happening in your council districts. Also, I want to let you know through, and get you my, contact information, because whenever you get anything on the street, I'd like you to email me, text me. And also when projects come up in your zones, or I mean, in your districts, I'd like to let you know about them, get it out to you, get the information. Just be very transparent, because I know in the past, a lot of you council members, you guys will call me. I know Aaron does, Irene and Tom, but I want to extend it to everybody else. If you're looking at projects or have a problem, I want to get on top of it, get ahead of the game. And also I'm really excited for the future. We're going to, implement some different changes in code, a little bit more proactiveness on most of it. And, with Joe's help and my help and the mayor's support, I think we'll see a big change. And one of the big things is tackling vacant buildings as well. That's going to be the first step. Because that's the one thing about quality of life is vacant buildings. One vacant building can spread across 2 or 3 blocks. So really excited. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to let me know. All right.
Any questions for Carlo?
Sure.
Council President?
Yeah, Carla, can you speak a little bit about your vision for the department?
Yes, the one thing that the mayor and Seamus and Joe really wanted to do was be a little bit more proactive. And what I plan on doing is doing more of a teamwork based, and breaking the departments down and giving them tasks and coming together as a team, becoming more technically inclined, getting our department more technically inclined, getting out there, stopping the problems ahead of time. But to do that, we have to get everybody on board. And I want to bring together in the next month or so everybody's ideas that they have, what they see out there. But mainly the first thing is figuring out how us, and with the help of the fire department, and tackling vacant buildings, and coming up with a program in the spring to hit the streets and do something like the NICE program. Just get out there. Also, just restructuring the department. So I have some good ideas. I don't want to mention them yet. I'd like to bring them out fully to the council when it's done. But I will make sure that everybody knows how what's going to happen, and everything's trial and error. And I think, my years of service with them and the confidence of the guys that are in the department, I started seeing excitement this morning. So is that out?
That sounds great, and wishing you all the best. What are your thoughts for filling your current position?
As of right now, we have 2 positions that are very crucial in our department that are missing. We have a code inspector down, and someone who's in the office that mainly does our reporting, our bookkeeping and stuff like that, and answers our phone. So we're kind of down. As of right now, I haven't discussed with Joe and the mayor. I will still be doing plans review and utilizing the guys that have supervisor titles in the department to help me kick off. And I have a plan for it. Let's hope it works.
So you are planning on filling that position?
It's in the budget. I don't know. That's
For now, we're gonna have him as an acting director, and he's gonna be still providing the plans examiner, and then.
So he's going to be filling 2 spots at this point?
Filling 2 spots, but we're gonna reevaluate in 6 months. But it's an acting. Yeah.
And just Council President and Carlo can agree too that the Director of Code, a part of what the Director of Code can do is examine plans and be involved in that process. So it's not necessarily one person filling 2 spots. But while there's this transition period, while we do fulfill the vision of the department, work on some of Carlo's ideas and policies moving forward. You also do have a assistant as well too, that's under you too, building up that institutional knowledge and that person. So, eventually that spot would definitely be filled.
Can you, Mayor, speak to your search process, how you came to this decision?
Yep. As you know, it's been vacant for several years. There's been some acting people over the past couple years, but We took our time with this position and this action. We have interviewed 3 folks, 2 outside, 1 private, 1 municipal, and then Carlo in-house. And quite frankly, at the end of the day, we really felt the team after, Joe really got his hands on the 24/7, the day-to-day of code, really felt that the team needed someone in-house. We felt Carlo was out of all 3, and believe me, the other municipal person and the outside person came in, some different ideas, things like that, but we really felt to build this team, to look at code differently, to work with planning and zoning, to do our clean sweep, which is all part of the Quality of Life Action Task Force, which literally is tackling hotspots, neighborhoods all throughout the city. We hit South Troy. Carlo was a huge part of putting the clean sweep together with Joe, Seamus, myself. That involved code, streets, sanitation, police, CPU, all of us literally tackling block by block, house by house. Carlo also talked about zones. At one time, code actually was broken down into zones. We want to look at that model, see if it works. But saying that, we really felt that at the time, it's perfect timing to move forward. Carlo, like I said, 17-year veteran, but more importantly, as a team builder. The one thing I did ask Carlo, and I liked his answer to this, and I think Joe and Seamus can attest. We asked Carlo, after working so long with the folks who are your colleagues, how can you transition to being a leader? And Carlo literally said, this is the time for me to be a leader in this office, the time for me to really build the team. And I think code, I got to tell you, we have some great bones in code. We have great workers. They haven't had a leader. And we really felt that it's the time to move Carlo up, put him in as acting. Carlo is going to prove that he's the right person for the right time to really build that team. He has the knowledge, he has the experience, and I believe he's shown us in 10 months that he is really worthy of this position and building that team. And I must tell you, the people in that office, they're ready, and we think it's the time for Carlo. So this isn't, anything more than wanting what's best for the people of Troy, being proactive, really taking that quality of life action task force to the next level. And Carlo's the guy for that.
Is there currently a list for this position?
It's provisional. And
so he will be taking the test in the near
Yep.
future.
Yep, he sure will.
And can you speak to the salary, please?
Is the question just what the salary is?
Well, I see the salary, but I know that's not what he's going to be paid. So
Okay.
what will he be paid?
Hold on, we got it.
That's how committed you are. See, it's not about the money, it's about the job.
What salary? He didn't.
That's why I asked if the position was going to be filled.
Right on the spot, Carlo.
I know, I don't have to. No, I. Thank you, Adrian.
Seriously, like you have to applaud the move. Carlo, we never talked about salary, and that tells me it's all about the job, all about his commitment to this position and building code. Honestly, it's just, people are probably like, wait a minute, you took the job and never talked about salary. It just shows how badly he wanted the position. He showed us he's the right person at the right time.
The salary at a step 12 would be 94,633.
Okay, thank you. And where will we be? The savings from the existing position, but.
Correct.
Is that your plan?
Yes.
And you estimate this to be a 6-month probationary period?
Correct. Yes. I don't know about probationary, but yeah, 6 month. Yeah.
Provisionary.
Provisional,
whatever-
yeah.
Whatever.
Probation sound. I
Whatever
don't
you
like
want, whatever word you want to
that.
use,
Yeah, provisional.
I'll go with your word.
Just
No,
we gotta
we
use the
need,
microphone.
sure.
Sorry, and also I believe because of the steps, even though they accounted for both positions, if say they do just fill my position, say tomorrow, that position will be lower.
Much lower,
Th-
right,
This,
right,
yeah, the steps are the same amount amongst grades.
right.
But so either way, if someone were to be hired tomorrow, they would
Right.
automatically, it would account for the difference.
I understand. Yep, yep.
Sorry about that.
And the other question I just had is this puts you in a supervisory role.
Mhm.
So I would imagine that puts you in a different union then.
No,
See?
it's CSEI.
point of discussion down the road.
Well, okay, all right. It had been asked of me and I'm passing it along. So.
Any other questions for Carlo? Cool. Let's do some budget. Yeah, let's start with the budget. Is there an overview of this, or you just want to hear the questions out? All right. For vehicle expenses, gas and oil, we have a budget of 0. But in the first 6 months, we spent $393. Last year, we spent $884.
Most of our vehicles are electric cars, and for the additional truck we have, we're gonna figure out another plan to pay that gas. But for the most part, this department utilizes electric cars.
I like that. Perfect. For postage, it's budgeted for 2,750, and in the first 6 months, we spent $2,226.
Yeah, historically is what we budgeted for 2,700. So I was looking to see what the 22 spent for the 6 months, but we should be right around the 2,700 budgeted for next year.
Does anyone else have any questions for Kobe? Mayor.
I could just jump in really quickly. On a totally other front, I really have to applaud GS has led the charge in all of their departments, and they really have become a model for other departments, tracking expenditures tracking revenues. I think, you know, Joe got some of that blood from his father. But I must tell you, to the penny, this department has literally done more with less in the 10 months that we've been here. Very impressive. And that's with Seamus and Joe, and a testament to all the supervisors that you'll meet tonight.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
I just had a question about the first of the 4 code inspector positions. Looks like there's a $4,000 salary increase. Is that from steps?
There is one assistant code inspector that's getting a step increase.
Okay,
Yes, from 1 year to 5 years.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
Chair. Councilmember Vera.
Judging from the salary savings, there's no delayed hiring. Correct.
That's correct. It's just step increases.
All right.
Yep.
And then I'll just put it out there, by my math, the differences in those salaries will create a small gap in the budget. Would you guys entertain delaying the hiring of an additional plans examiner to make up that gap?
What gap, Councilman?
Going from a step 1 to a step 12 for the director's salary. And then going from a step 12 to a step 1 for the plans examiner salary will not cover the increase.
Yeah, so the plans examiner, that is something that we're not going to be hiring right away.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I meant.
that's, okay, yes, I'll confirm
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, just checking. Yep,
We got there.
just making sure.
Yeah, so you would consider delaying that in the budget for whatever that would be, 2 weeks, a month, and that would cover the gap.
Most certainly. And I think, again, like we were saying, definitely a crucial position, but you have to figure too, Carlos just taking over. He's going to need some time to just, for the whole entire department, and not only just to train a replacement as well. So yeah, that's why that will be that gap. Correct.
Aaron, if you want to, sorry not to cut you off, but with that, if you were to hire a plans examiner, if you want to put it in as the current salary, it would be $63,063.
For step 0.
Yeah, if they were to hire one tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. That would increase that gap. Wouldn't it? Yeah, no, I guess, yeah. And then on the 2 positions that are open, the assistant code inspector and the senior account clerk, do I have that correct? The 2 unfilled positions, is there a list? Are you guys in the interview process? How close are we to filling those positions?
So one of the principal account clerk titles that you're seeing is going to be reclassified to a senior account clerk in this department.
Yep.
So you'll see the -1 and then the +1 for the senior account clerk. There are eligible lists for these titles. I don't know off the top of my head how many people are on them.
Okay.
Actually, I don't believe there is for senior account clerk. It's principal that we have one for. Senior account clerk has been posted and we're accepting applications for those.
Okay, excellent.
Yep.
Good questions, Chair.
Perfect. Anyone else? Thank you, Carla. Where do you want to go next, Joe? Want to go to municipal court, general services? Start in the beginning. Okay. 16. Uh, 16, 17? No. I'm sorry.
19.
Is that 16? That's weird. Yeah, 19.
This is a pretty straightforward budget. Last year there was 458,000. That was for upgrades to the court, which is 100% reimbursable. Traditionally, we budgeted for 100,000. That's what we did for next year.
Perfect. Any questions for that? All right, want to move to traffic control on page 98. Right. Ready overview for this one? For Mayor.
The one thing I will say, while we were on the council president and council member Soriento, if you recall, we talked about the need. Bill Winkler explained the need to do in-house crosswalks because we know how expensive they are outhouse, et cetera. So we did purchase a machine. Bill ended up getting a little bit more help in the department. We have tackled near the universities, near our schools, some priority areas. What we do plan for 2025 is have a very aggressive crosswalking program to really get out there and paint the crosswalks. But Bill has done a good job to date juggling that and streetlights, et cetera. But saying that, one of the other things, and I'll let Joe and Bill talk about it, when we switched over to LEDs, the equipment for our streetlights, the LED equipment, new poles, bulbs, et cetera, none of that was ordered. So we are putting a plan in place for the future because obviously we need equipment so we can replace some of these LEDs, et cetera. So I'll hand over to Joe and Bill, but another department that really is looking more into the future and more of a plan.
Yeah, there's also, I have 30 intersections still that are still 1940s technology that we're looking to the future. Eventually, they were talking about a capital plan under the previous administration. I don't know what the plan is for this, but it's something that we have to look at in the future. We can't fix these things anymore. They're literally old mechanicals. Like the original patent was 1932 on these old GEs. So that and the streetlights we're trying to troubleshoot and fix as many as we can. But then we have DLC to do the rest. They're pretty much our exclusive contractor right now. So that's where we are. Poles, everything is very expensive. A typical streetlight pole is $15,000. Lights are a couple $100 a piece, easy, maybe up to 500 depending on the LED wattage. So there's a lot going on. And of course, Bill, up by you have a pole up there that feeds overhead stuff. We also have miles and miles of underground cable that eventually we're going to have to start locating. We're going to have to be in the dig safe and that whole thing that we are not in now because when people dig, we have to be able to go out and locate that. So we're going to have to look at the future and possibly even maybe adding a job or something like or contracting it out. So.
Thank you.
Chairman Ryan.
Councilmember Keel.
Do we get reimbursed from auto accidents when they hit poles, that kind of thing? Do we go after that? Yeah.
Yeah, before they didn't do a great job of doing it, but everything is sent to Corp Counsel. Every time there's an accident that involves any of our equipment, it's sent to Corp Counsel. I also take pictures and send them to Corp Counsel too when we have that. But I think Dane is doing a good job of going after any of that's for claims. Because the claims on our stuff, a typical intersection, like let's say Jefferson and Fourth, when that got hit, that's $50,000. So it's significant.
It sure is. All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Bill? To move into the budget.
Let's go into the budget.
For temporary salaries, we're budgeted 15,000 in the first 16 months. We spent 14,820.
So last year we were budgeted, well, last year's budget was for 15,000. We did a transfer this summer so Bill can have additional help. We're going to keep it at 15,000 for next year as well. So that's what we budgeted at.
All right.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
Where in this budget is things like what you were just talking about, like the intersections that are so old and all of the the LED, all of that.
So for traffic lights, it's under facility upgrades. We have that 250,000 to spend.
Okay.
And that's what we utilize Fourth and Jefferson this year. That was what Bill said, about 50,000. There was a couple odd end traffic lights that we purchased, but that's the majority for facility upgrades. That's what the traffic lights are coming out of that line.
Okay. Thank you.
For line 303, other materials, it's budgeted 50,000. For 6 months, we're at 37,000.
We increased that because we've noticed throughout the city that our signs are warping. So that line comes out of that for Saxon signs. We're going to be replacing a lot of the street signs.
Oh, you're right. It's at 19,000. I'm sorry.
Um,
I was asking about the increase. You're right, Deputy Mayor. Chair. Councilmember Vera.
Does the 2004 line item for facilities upgrades, does that cover streetlights as well, or just traffic signals?
Traffic signals, streetlights are on a different budget.
Okay.
Chair,
Council President Steele.
under utilities, 401, I see it's reduced. Can you speak to, is that it's not a result of our streetlights, it's why?
It's a result from a credit that we're receiving from our solar. So we weren't receiving that credit in the first 6 months, but now we have that credit, and with what we budgeted for next year, it's going to make us last throughout the entirety of the year.
Thank you. So I know that, Council
President Steele.
I'm the president, you're the chair.
Yeah.
Whatever we are. Lots of discussion about your salary bill. Is this the actual salary in the budget? The 90,000 is indeed your final salary. Thank you.
Chair.
Councilmember Vera.
Bill, you had mentioned Dig Safely. Is there any funding in the budget to cover the cost of a consultant to do that mark out?
I would imagine we'll go under the $250,000 we get it in that. We either have DLC do it or we buy the equipment. I think there's a machine. I think it's probably around $600 or $700.
Okay. I'm a little familiar with the purchase of the street lighting from Grid. Did we ever get any mapping with that? Did they ever?
No, we're
provide
still working on the mapping. The unfortunate part, the mapping that we're going to get is GIS mapping.
Yeah.
Which is good and it's digital. We'll be able to get it, but a lot of the old stuff, especially downtown, was on paper ones that they only have down at National Grid down at Broadway. So anytime any of those guys come out to help us troubleshoot, they're bringing those old maps with them. And there was no cost associated with them actually copying those maps. When we have it, the maps are going to be, I think, $2,000. They're kind of just not giving us the runaround, but they're not forthcoming with getting us the maps.
Yeah. And then they're probably schematic level anyway, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping we're going to get digital ones. And then if I have a laptop, I can go right out in the field and look at the maps out in the field.
Okay. Have we been getting any requests for mark out for that?
No.
No. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Let's go right to parking. Nice and easy.
In order.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Perfect. Ah, thank you.
Let's go.
Yeah. You're not wearing a hat. I like it.
Any overview on parking? No. For line item 102. Never mind. Didn't mean to highlight that one. That's not me. Line item 409. We have budgeted 127,550. We've only used 33,000 of the consulting fees there. Is there a plan for a big push on consultants or?
Yeah, we actually decreased that line. The original budget from this year is 183,000. We decreased it to 127. This is for FBS parking system or digital meters. So we're going to hold on to that, but we did decrease that line quite a bit.
All right, yeah, I appreciate it. For 409, the consultant fee. It went up to 45,000. In the first 6 months, we spent $39,366.
So for the year, it would be around 39,000. That's been a consistent payment for the year. That's for Cal American parking meters. So we cut that line in half because we felt that was over budgeted.
Perfect. Anyone have any questions?
Chair, just one, while you guys are debating questions, just a couple of things to point out too. I mean, our parking facilities definitely need some love, but I just want to give Dan and, our facility crews a lot of credit for doing what they can with what they are. It's nice to see under the State Street Garage paved this year. That's at least a nice improvement. Dan stays really on top of making sure that any graffiti or anything on our parking meters is upkept. That if there's a system error or system problem right out there. So do just want to point that out. Here in Troy, parking is always a big topic. I know we've talked about before that it's not necessarily an allocation problem. It's a wayfinding problem, which we've noted is something that we want to work on in the future and look forward to. But there's definitely, when you think of State Street Garage, some things, like again, with the theme here of a lot of these structures and city-owned properties have been left to dilapidate over years. So, that is definitely something that we want to focus on. I just wanted to make that point before we move on.
Chair,
Council President.
on the topic of garages, how are we tracking utilization?
So everything is through the Passport app, the permit system. So people apply through that, and I'm the one that monitors it, and I approve and deny the permits.
So it's not actually on the capacity of the garage.
No,
So I could have a permit and not use it. And that space sits there empty that someone else could use, correct?
Well, it's not a physical space. Like we have in the State Street garage, we have 180 spots. We'll oversell that garage by 10 to 15%. Just so if there is somebody that doesn't use it, that it will be utilized hopefully by somebody else.
How often do we monitor the garages to check on that? Because I have to say, my experience has been the garages are pretty empty.
They are, I mean, I'm in there every day, you know, counting and monitoring it, and we're oversold in every garage by, in some cases, 50 spots. So, I mean, I can't, you know, I don't know why they're not full, but we are oversold in every instance.
And it ebbs and flows, I would say as well,
yeah.
with time of day, what day, weekend, et cetera.
But yeah, the two garages are oversold. And State Street is, I think, 195. And then the Fifth Ave garage, we have 364 permits with 310 spots.
Seems to me there might be a better way that we could manage that. I would hope we would be open to looking to
Absolutely.
other ways.
Yeah, we can.
To that point, Council President, we actually just today were talking about, it's been a while since we've even looked at, you know, if FBS is the best fix, best solution, things like that. So to your point, you're definitely right. Want to always, you know, maximize whatever efficiency and usage of those facilities. That's definitely something we're going to be looking at.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
In line 404, both of them, the repairs to the equipment and elevator, there's a significant decrease in the budget. Are they just not being done, or, I mean, not necessary?
So for the first line, for the first 404, our repairs are doing everything in-house. Dan has been working on the parking mirrors himself, so we've been saving quite a few dollars with that. And the next one is for the elevator, which is out of commission in the State Street garage. So
Oh, well, there you go. Is there a plan to?
The elevator has been out of commission for quite some time. There hasn't been a good solid plan to reopen it, but it could be a discussion.
Okay, but it's not currently in the budget. Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Vera.
Who's responsible for the maintenance of our parking meters? It sounds like that question might have been answered. We are, so that this consultant doesn't provide any, it's not like we pay them a percentage of parking revenue for the system or anything like that.
No, they would just, if I weren't able to fix it, we would call them in, and then that's when they would bill us out, you know, hourly or whatnot.
And there's two different consultants involved in the parking system?
So we have the parking meters, which is owned by Calais or Flowbird. And then there's the app software, which is through the company of Passport.
And I see that the, overall, the budget's decreasing by about $90,000. Do you have any concerns about being able to operate the parking infrastructure
No.
with $90,000 less? No. The 102 line item, the temporary salaries, how many, I guess that's parking enforcement officers. How many of those do we have? How many does that cover? Why not full-time positions?
Yeah, while Dan is full-time and the rest of the employees are under temporary salaries.
Okay.
Right now, we have 4, but that could change. There's not, I don't believe there's a limit on that with temporary salaries, but more could be created, but within the temporary salaries, there's no limit. So we just have to hold to that amount that's budgeted.
Oh, no, I understand that. So, but it sounds like temporary salaries gives you guys the flexibility to manage staff more so than permanent positions would. Okay.
Yes.
And Chair, if I could,
Mayor.
Great, thank you. Just weigh in, big debate over the past couple of years, Councilmember Soriento and Council President Steele. Councilmember Steele at the time probably remembers this is one of Jim Gully's babies. And I know he met with Dan several times. They debated. And I know the administration was kind of pushing full-time at the time. At the end of the day, the temporary salaries end up going in place. And my 10 months here, I can, say working with Dan, working with Joe and Seamus, the temporary salaries work much better than the full-time. Regarding the meters, regarding FBS and regarding the passport, it is on our list. This has been, used for several years now. It is on the front burner to look at 2025 and 2026. Can we do it better, more efficiently? Look at solar parking meters, look at parking meters similar to some other municipalities where you can use an app, et cetera. So, saying that there is better technology out there and we do want to look at that down the road.
Sure.
Councilmember Vera.
Aren't our parking meters solar and don't we have an app?
So yes, they have a solar panel and then
Yeah, okay.
obviously that charges the battery underneath and
Okay, we do have an app for it too. right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I would second Council President Steele's comment about perhaps making better use of the parking garages, either in continuing to sell permits until, we're utilizing that space on a daily basis, or opening the garages during the day for paying customers. Seems like we'd be, we're leaving revenue on the table. Last question. Does not having the elevator at the State Street garage make the parking garage inaccessible?
All the handicap spots are on the bottom level. We had to make that arrangement because of the unsafe activities that were occurring in the elevators. We thought that was the most appropriate move. But
So
all-
we've made accommodations to
Correct.
account for the,
Correct.
thank you, thank you.
Also, the elevator has been out since I started with the city almost 5 years, so I'm not really sure why it's. I mean, this has been an ongoing problem since I've been here. But I just wanted to get that out there.
Chair, when we talk about the improved technology, I'm not sure if you're aware, there's actually a bill that some folks are really pushing to mail parking tickets. It's not legal right now in New York State to mail parking tickets, and you actually have to physically leave them on the windshield. And so saying that there are efforts to really upgrade the technology to coincide with that. So when I talk about upgraded technology, I met with a firm coincidentally this week who are looking just at mailing and really elevating the parking meters, et cetera. And Dan will probably attest with a number of parking meters down in downtown, difficult to repair, put, antiquated signage up to let folks know. There definitely is a better method, and it is something that, we are very dedicated to looking at, also a parking ticket amnesty program down the road. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Go to examining boards, page 112. Any overview on this department?
They've been getting the same amount for before I started, so. It's my plumbing board, my examining board.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Moving right along. Do street maintenance, 124. No, all right.
Chair.
Mayor,
I just, once again, the crews in streets, I mean, all of the departments, traffic, facilities, they have all so stepped up to the plate, and streets, our quality of life action crews are out there, working with sanitation work in the alleyways, hand in hand with streets. If you recall, right off Jump Street, we went curb to curb and cleaning our gateways. And, we can talk about it, but we're not just talking about it. Our crews are out there walking the walk, in the cold, in the rain. They literally take so much pride in what they do day in and day out. So I really want to applaud Joe, the streets crews. There's a guy on Joe's crew that we call the Energizer Bunny, and Seamus and I approached him on his second week, on our second week in office, and he just turned to us and he just said, "I love doing this. I just, I'm happy to get a paycheck, and I love what I do." I cannot say enough about the pride in the departments, and this one has really stepped up to the plate and they've done a phenomenal job. So thank you. And I'll hand it over to Joe.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
Why is snow removal at 0?
Oh, it's in its separate budget.
Yeah, it's the next.
Oh.
It's the next couple of pages after.
Gotcha. Yeah, I figured that.
On line item 405 rentals, last year's budget was 35,000. This year was bumped up 20,000 to 55,000. And we spent 14,000 of that. Is there a plan for rentals?
Yeah, we mentioned this in the capital plan that we're gonna utilize an extra broom with the attachment for
Right. Yeah,
2 extra brooms. So that's why we increase that line with the attachment to clean the catch basins as well.
Thank you.
Chair.
Council President Steele.
In 401 utilities, there seems to be a significant decrease. Could you explain that?
So that is the credit we received as well from National Grid. That's what a credit received from the LED lights. The 300,000 extra will be sufficient enough to pay for the rest of it. I think the credit goes until about May or April of next year, then we're gonna continue to pay it.
Sure.
Councilmember Vera.
It's a temporary credit?
Correct.
Have we already realized the savings in the power that we use for streetlights, or is that still to be realized?
Yeah, I think we still have to figure that out. I believe that the credit was issued once we went to LED.
Right, but it's not an ongoing.
No, I don't. One-time credit.
Is this the budget? I had asked during traffic if streetlight repair was included in that budget. It wasn't. Is it supposed to be included in this budget? If this is where the utilities for streetlights.
I misunderstood you. I thought that you were just referring to just streetlights and utilities. I didn't know you were referring to,
Oh, no, I didn't mean the utility.
Oh.
I see the utility line
Yeah,
item. I mean the actual purchase of new poles, light fixtures for the replacement of poles. Would that be in this budget?
we still have to discuss how we're gonna receive an inventory for streetlights to repair.
Okay, so if a pole is hit and say it's a hit and run, so we're not gonna collect, insurance. How would we, out of what department or out of what account do we replace that pole?
We could, under facilities.
Under facilities, okay.
And just if I could jump in, remember much of the purchasing, et cetera, it should have been done all along. We definitely do not want to mislead. We are not, going to be able to do things overnight to, purchase everything within the next year. There has to be a plan. And that's where we're starting, a plan to make sure that the maintenance of these lights are covered. We have, as Bill mentioned, DLC on board, executive. They were kind of, if you recall, Council Member Brosnan, representing a union electrical company, but they weren't using the apprenticeship program. We asked multiple times, so that maintenance agreement will probably go back out to RFP at some point. But DLC is the union contractor; they're on board. But saying that, the equipment, there definitely needs to be a short-term, long-term. We have the short-term for now, but a long-term plan does need to happen. It should have happened years ago, but it didn't.
Chair.
Council President.
So I'm going back to I think it's the one-time credit, but it's under utilities, the 401. So it shows that we've only spent 1,000. Is that because of the one-time credit?
Right.
Okay.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
So will that mean then that we will likely see that line item go back up in next year's budget because that one-time credit will no longer be?
We could see that if it gets expended by that point too. And another with the credits, it's not it's quite a lengthy process to go to try to get them applied. It's not here is X amount of dollars and then deducted off your bill. It has to get applied to various utilities. Actually, I'll take the moment to, I think she's behind me here, give Colleen a lot of credit, in the general services department, takes up a lot of her time just sifting through the various credits that we've received, trying to get them applied. And we're still working with National Grid with trying to get any credit or any type of funding, of course, that we continue to get, so. But is that a possibility if it gets expended by then, of course?
Councilmember Vera.
Is that credit solar related then? Or is it related to the actual retrofit of the fixtures? Nothing to do with solar? Okay.
Any other questions? Do you want to go over snow removal?
Don't want to talk snow.
No, that's not.
Councilmember Spin McLaren.
Oh, actually, never mind. I just answered my own question. Sorry.
Oh.
You're
okay, 120.
For snow removal, is it all overtime or is it like hourly and then people hit overtime?
Yeah, it's no, it's not all overtime. Like if we're on straight time during a snowstorm, it's coming out of our regular budget. It's only after we hit 3:30 where it becomes overtime.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for snow removal?
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
I'm just, if we have a particularly bad winter and, we expend this budget, where does that extra come from? Is that contingency?
So not necessarily contingency, of course, that, which the council deals with at every council meeting. There's budget transfers, of course, as well, where various departments where we shift within the department. So, like the mayor said early on, it's, the general services department, the commissioner, the supervisor doing a great job with being a bit more strategic about, how we attack the storm. So not necessarily, trying to make sure that we're not, making sure that we deliver the best service, but being smart about when you're calling folks in, all of that. And it really adds up. I mean, again, you see it across the whole budget, especially in this general services budget. The couple thousand here, the 5,000 there, it really does add up. And the, really, Joe, the commissioner, Joe and Streets, even Bill Wangler, hawking that weather radar, making sure that, we're timing it just right to, again, not to make sure that we're not behind, behind the ball. We want to make sure that those streets are clean is great. I mean, I have to say, I know the mayor, everybody up here would agree with me, but one of the first, compliment a resident reaching out was, oh my God, for once, Troy streets look a little cleaner than Brunswick's before. Those are types of things that you want to hear. So, the crews do a great job. Big city to plow, really talented crew that goes out there.
Thank you.
Council President.
Yeah, I just have an overall question about the removal. You're actually eliminating a couple positions. And
surprised you didn't answer.
I'm slow to the game tonight. It's one of those nights. It's too hot in here for me.
Can you turn it down?
I tried. I got overridden. I'm just surprised and concerned. I guess.
Yes, so I mean, you council members that have been here a couple of years for the last couple of budgets. This is the third year the streets department is going in having vacancies at the MELA position. We're not able to fill the positions. We keep trying to hire people in. It doesn't work out. They come, they get their permits, they get CDLs, they leave, go to another employment. So, I mean, my thought is we need bodies on the streets. Try to do better. And I think we can do better with an additional labor. And the second one, we unfunded for this year to move over to our temporary salaries to get more bodies on the street for a longer period of time.
So you're shifting, you're making a shift, in other words.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Mayor.
Once again, I know we keep saying that, but we're just thinking differently, not just in streets, but all of the departments. And, how can we better utilize these positions out on the streets? And, as Joe mentioned, these have been vacant for years. And to get someone with a CDL, very, very tough right now. At the same time, sometimes you go through, spend the money, invest in the person, train them, and then bam, they're leaving us, in 6 months or whatever. So we really took a step back to look at it more strategically. And, Joe knows what's going on the streets, and we've become more and more familiar day in, day out. So I really want to credit not just Joe, but all the departments really thinking differently.
No other questions? Thank you. We're gonna move on to the marina.
Very good. Thank you, Joe. The marina, if it's okay, Chair?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. As you know. As you know, the Hudson, near and dear to my heart, and we just have an incredible waterfront. We know it's a national treasure. It's a jewel. Compared to 77 or to Albany, who has 77, we don't have that. So we have so many opportunities to really use the Hudson River as the front door for economic development, for tourism, for environmental protection, for trails, land, water, you name it. Our marina, a gold mine. We plan to take a step back, as you're aware, or you may not be aware. Oasis was contracted by the prior administration to take a chance with the company. The company, kind of a big company. We've gotten to know them. They oversee the Sagamore. They oversee some Florida marinas. We're Troy. We know Troy better than them. They were also not just operating our marina, but they were hiring folks. And additionally, they were marketing Troy. Great on a large scale, there's what's called the Great Loop, folks that travel through Troy. You've probably seen this year, we have gotten so much traffic from whether it be Geraldo Rivera or yachts, and then the American Cruise Line, which I'll talk about in a minute. What you're going to see in the budget for 2025 is you're going to see that we're going to do more with less. We were paying Oasis, as you can see, $295,000. Prior year, I should say, 381, and that was hiring folks, that was marketing, etc. You'll see the proposed budget for 135. We're going to bring it in-house. Oasis's contract expired at the end of the year last year. We extended it a year, did not have time, obviously, to get that RFP out. We have multiple conversations, worked with Oasis over the last 6 months, great people. But honestly, we saw firsthand, we can do this in-house. So what you're seeing with that 135, we're going to bring it in-house. We have, just so you know, 3 employees at the marina, and they all work, and there's 2 at a time, full-time, and then they shift hours, the 3 of them. It is, a Monday through Sunday job, Sunday through Sunday. So saying that, we definitely saw firsthand that we can do this better in-house, both the marketing, both the manning of the marina. And we have a new dock master. He was wonderful this past year. His name's John. He's actually from the Berg. And then we had 2 other employees. So we hope to continue them next year. But once again, looking at things differently. And the marina is definitely just an asset that we have not nearly capitalized on, and we do plan to. Real quick, American Cruise Line, you probably read, they did stop in Troy from time to time. They contacted us this year. And believe it or not, really cool opportunity for 2025. As you heard, for 2024, they had over, I believe, 20 dockings over the past month. And they love Troy, 100 visitors. This is a real cruise line, folks. It's an overnight cruise. They charge anywhere from $7,000 up to $8,500, Manhattan to Troy. We were a turnaround. For 2025, they want us to be a port of call, which basically means they'll be dropping folks off. Folks will be staying overnight in our hotels, then getting on the cruise line ship after they fly in, et cetera. So as a port of call, we won't just be a stop and a turnaround and get off there. We'll have people actually getting on now in Troy, which is super awesome. It's a temporary dock agreement with the cruise line ship. It'll be at the southern end, and they'll be charged per docking. And it's a great partnership. And obviously our restaurants, our historical assets, the Historic Society, Kathy Sheehan and folks actually takes them around for tours. And, you know, our restaurants, boutiques, you name it, will now get much more activity. It's a great partnership, and we hope to build on that.
Thank you,
Chair.
Council President.
So the consultant services, the $100 is what we're paying these three folks out of? Or is that something different?
It's 135,000 total.
Right. Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the 100,000 consultant.
Yes, that would be correct. Yes.
Yes.
That's for the three individuals. Okay, thank you.
Real quick, I apologize, Chair. They are not, they're temporary employees. They do not get full-time benefits, so they're qualified as temporary employees, which obviously, you know, 5 months.
Sure. Councilman Rivera.
Why wouldn't we create a temporary salary line item for them? So they're being paid like independent contractors? Is that what's happening? Okay.
Correct.
No, it's fine. I do just have a general comment about it. You know, it's quite a budget cut. And when you look at the revenue that the marina has brought in at least since Oasis took over, and then you look at what you're projecting for revenue, a change like this makes the marina nearly, you know, like net zero, right? We've been losing money on the marina. So, I mean, if it works, it'll be pretty impressive. So I appreciate you taking a look at that. With the contract expiring at the end of 24, is
No.
there,
23.
but you said you extended it until
Extended,
24.
sorry.
So with the contract expiring at the end of this year, is there any thought into looking at the fees that we charge aside from the cruise line that you just mentioned, which it sounds like some agreement was negotiated? Are you going to take a look at those, or?
We do plan to take a look at those. Obviously, though, the public docks, we want to make them, you know, as we don't want to obviously charge too much at those because a lot of folks will stop overnight or stop for a few hours, you know, grab a bite over at Brown's. So, you know, saying that, what I did do, just so you know, with ACL, American Cruise Line, they were paying, I believe, like 50 or $100 per docking before, which was, they were only here very, very temporary. Now that they're going to be here more, we now are up to how much per docking? 3,000 per docking. So, so saying that, great agreement. It was a tough negotiation. I want to thank Seamus, everybody. They went back and forth, but saying that, just a huge partnership, some revenue. At the same time, when we are looking at per foot for the public docks, et cetera, I do plan to take a look, compare them to other docks all throughout the state, especially, for Waterford and other places, Catskill. I will say where we came up with the per foot, et cetera, for ACL, tapped into other docks like down in Manhattan. They're paying close to $6,000 per docking, $7,000. They turned around when we wanted to obviously be up there a bit, like $5,000. They turned around and said, Troy is no Manhattan. I said, don't tell the people of Troy that. But saying that, we were able to get $3,000 per docking. And, it really is a great partnership, some revenue at the same time. More importantly, the economic impact that is going to happen to our restaurants, boutiques, et cetera. So, and as you said, listen, we know docks, some are mostly not so much a direct money impact, but the indirect impact on the local economy is huge. And we know that, but if we can obviously try to capture more revenue, that's our goal. And I believe with ACL, and then we do plan to look at the per foot for the electric and the water for those services at that dock. But the public docks are free.
Excellent. A few additional questions. I do have a copy of the agreement with Oasis. It was 20 pages and I didn't get through all of it, and I certainly don't remember all of it. Who had to purchase the fuel that we sell there? And is that included in this budget? Because that is, of all the revenue that we make with the marina, the sale of fuel seems to be the big ticket item of the two.
We purchase the fuel, but then I believe it goes to their accounting system, and then we get a kickback as well for the revenue.
So then looking at 25, are we purchasing the fuel that we're selling? We must be if we're the only ones operating it.
Yes.
So does $35,000 cover the fuel that we'll be selling? Because we're
Yes.
banking on $80,000 in revenue from fuel sales. So I just want to make sure that we have the money in the budget to purchase the fuel to then sell it. Okay. And then the other two more, the dock removal, is that included in this budget or is that somewhere else?
No, I don't.
No, I understand the budget line item. It's not listed under the marina expenses, so I was just curious where it's included. It might be facilities, I know.
Yeah.
While you're looking for that, my last question is, this $3,000 per docking. It sounds like you entered into a contract with American Cruise Lines for that. That I think was the question Rick thought I would be asking about 2 minutes ago.
So we're going to be, we don't have a formal written agreement
Okay.
yet. It's going to be a docking license agreement, probably to be renewed annually.
Perfect.
And
So
I'm not completely sure that the 3,000 might not be 2,500. I can't remember at this moment. Okay.
the
So
point is, it's not etched in stone.
it's
And
not.
that's
etched
that
in-
was what my question was pertaining to. The second thing is,
So the
is that the fee that we will be charging any cruise line that wants to dock here?
Well, we won't charge less to another one, but the only cruise line that is.
Okay,
has
so then
negotiated
you'll be
with
coming to the
us.
council with revised
Absolutely,
fees. Okay,
absolutely.
all right. Well, just the fuel. Did you guys find where the fuel, or I'm sorry, the dock removal? Did you find where that's coming out of?
Oh, okay.
It's all right, guys. You can get back to me on it. I don't have any further questions.
Chair.
Council President.
So moving all of this operation in-house, can you just share with us how you see that happening in terms of promotional, maintenance, all of those things?
So when it comes to the promotional, we feel that, I mean, one, that was one of the things, when we first came in, seeing the large amount that was being paid to Oasis, one of the first common sense thing was like, how is the promotion of this? What are they doing? And did a very simple search, even to say Facebook, noticed that nothing had been posted in like 8-9 months, or very little social media or different typical outreach that gets done. So, I mean, we still do feel, and I know that out of this consultant line, salaries are coming out of that too, but there's a lot of ways now to be very efficient when you're promoting stuff that does not have to cost, $20, $30, $40,000 to promote. So, and when it comes to maintenance and any of that stuff, just like, for example, our facility crews had to go there. There was some negative activity going on around the restrooms. We had to put up a fence, things like that. So those types of items, again, those would be coming out of your typical facilities.
So you foresee when you hire a public information person, that person will be responsible for this promotion? Is that where it falls under?
They would be, they would be a crucial role of part of it, of course.
Who handles the actual scheduling of the dockings, the bookings, the whatever? So how's that gonna, how does that look?
It's all through the dock master. Current dock master.
The
does
dock
that.
master?
Yep.
Honestly, you would be very shocked what we were paying Oasis and then realize we told them we're going to renew the contract, see how it worked. You must know when we talked to Oasis's new contact for us, he was kind of surprised at the amount of money that was put aside for marketing. Needless to say, we stopped marketing with Oasis and did start doing that in-house. Secondly, facilities, as Seamus mentioned, literally handled all of the maintenance from new fencing to the water, ended up rupturing the water line. They fixed that. So public utilities. So what we recognize we can do better, more efficiently, and we know Troy better than this Florida firm, nice people. But we feel that we can take this on, do better, do a good job, market the city of Troy, and really connect with voters. Listen, it's not rocket science, but and I must say, regarding what we did learn, we didn't know that either, Council President, like who handles the schedule, the dockings. We learned immediately Oasis doesn't handle that, that literally our dock master is working hand in hand. They call the dock master prior, they make a reservation for, a docking spot for 1 or 2 days or overnight, for electric, for water. They express their needs, but it's a direct connection with the dock master. So we just learned firsthand that it really was not money well spent. So.
Any other questions for the marina? Right, thank you. Let's move to the Recreation Administration. Are there any questions for the Recreation Administration? All right, perfect. Move on to Parks. Yeah.
That's just you, Kevin, right? Recreation Administrator.
Any questions for Parks?
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
Could you talk about the small tools and equipment decreased, and then one of the line items for other material increased, doubled, actually.
So the other materials that doubled is because of the chlorine that's going to the Landsberg pool. So we had to double that chlorine from the South Troy pool. We doubled that budget amount for Landsberg, for the
Okay.
Nick. And then for the small tools, we just figured, we were a little bit over budget there, and we're gonna be pretty good with what we budgeted for next year.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Parks?
Sure.
Councilmember Vera.
So pool maintenance comes out of this budget. I see gas and well, the gas budget went down slightly. And utilities, water seems to remain the same. Is there a need to increase those line items for the new? So this budget is accounting for the new pool. Do we need to see similar changes in those line items for the facility itself?
Which one are you referring to, the 401?
Any of the utilities,
Okay.
right? We're gonna have a new pool house, right? Splash pads. Is the only increase we're accounting for with that additional infrastructure is the chlorine?
Yeah, we're just gonna see if that's sufficient funds. Yeah, the trending wise, but
Just council member to point out too, I mean, we, like most of these things, looking at the 5-year averages and different historical information. So although it's less, it's, more than what's it's still more routine, more than what is routinely spent out of there. Out of that line. So that's why we didn't cut it, to say 35 or two.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
Do temporary salaries, is that lifeguards for the pools?
No, this is for the Kevin's staff.
Okay. Okay, so is that the same situation where
It's
it gives
budgeted-
you the flexibility to, or is it because it's seasonal? Like we talked about before, that rather than hiring more full-time people, you keep temporary because you can control the flexibility of how many people you need and their hours and things like that.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. So do we hire lifeguards, or is it going to be like South Troy where it's a lot of boys and girls club?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Chair,
Council President.
so we're eliminating a recreation attendant.
We are actually.
Okay. There is one recreation attendant that is being eliminated from this budget code, but it's going into the 7140 for ice rinks. And you'll also see that there's a youth services coordinator from the Youth Bureau that is being eliminated and going into 7140 for the ice rink.
How has the recreation attendant been functioning currently?
It's vacant.
And how long has it been vacant?
At least a year. I'm gonna say 2 years, maybe more than that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Parks? Hear none, move on to ice rink.
Chair, if I may, just as we're segueing from parks into the ice rinks, I just do want to give Kevin and his crew a lot of credit. Kev's crew, unfortunately, is pretty thin, and they really maximize efficiency. We've done a lot going on with our parks. Again, interdepartmental, collaborations between parks, facilities, streets, which is really huge. And as we segue into the rinks, Kevin's been very helpful preparing for, the Knickerbocker as well. So just want to say, great job to him, great job to his crews.
Is there an overview on ice rinks at all? I saw that Local 7 posted pictures today. How's the construction going?
Yeah, the dashboard says all of you passed are in the midst of being taken out. Now, let Kevin and Joe give you an update where it is. As Seamus mentioned, kudos to Kevin and his staff, to the partnership with the county has been huge, and we're looking to open it hopefully by I'll say December. Well, throw it over to Kevin. Very ambitious, but
December this year.
yeah.
So the ice rink is moving along. They've got the underfloor heater in. They have, I think the cold header just went in. They have all the chairs for the cold pipe. That's all going in. They should be running pipe next week, I believe. And then they will be ready for the floor to be poured.
Thank you. Any questions?
Chair.
Councilmember Vera.
Could we get an overview of the operational increases for the ice rink? It's a $400,000 increase in that budget. So just as opposed to a bunch of questions back and forth, if you guys just want to give us an overview.
Yeah, it's been zeroed out for the last
Yeah.
7 years, so we're gonna, hire and backfill the vacancies that we've put into this budget to maintain the ice rink. We have the permanent salaries, we have temporary salaries to help at nights and weekends to help with scheduling and facilitating open rink or practices and ball games. We had a budget obviously for National Grid and everything like that, but that's pretty much. Oh, and the repair equipment, we made it to 90,000 because the Zamboni can be expensive. If it breaks down, it's going to have to go out and be fixed, and that is not cheap.
So this is not. I mean, it is the first year it'll be open, but this isn't a first year budget. This is the long-term cost of operating the ice rink
For 2025.
Okay. But in this budget, there are no one-time costs for 2025, right? You're finishing up the
No.
construction project. This is what you expect it
This
to
is
be
just
going forward.
This is just operation and
Okay.
maintenance.
Okay.
Chair. So just to be
Hold on.
clear.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
have one more
oh,
question, which was going to be, is there any revenue being generated from this facility?
So, that's definitely going to be one of the hopes. I mean, not only, although just to put this out there too, we know that we have the Freer Ice Rink. That was one of the only things you'd see in here previously before you can see some past budgeted and expenses, like when it comes to utilities. But the association has pretty much full rights to that. We lease to them. So, the plan, in the short term, there will be some revenues. We want to try to make it as accessible as possible for our residents to ice skate, whether this is, open ice time, things like that. If certain groups, we waive skate rentals for, but I think that you will be seeing definitely some revenue. And I know long-term, we've talked about that another phase of this would see the concession stand come back and some other availability there as well. Some other opportunities too. So we're also going to be, and this will be, the council will be seeing this not too long, but we are working on an agreement with the Troy Albany Hockey Association as well. This is not the same agreement that was worked up from Freer. Great partnership with them in making sure that, they can utilize the ice, the city can gain from that. And while making sure that there's more than ample or over half, if not more time for our residents to enjoy it. This agreement with them, you'll see this will be some investments on their part into the rink. So that way the city is not spending on certain upgrades. It's also going to include things like youth engagement, hockey camps, free for our residents, mentoring and coaching sessions, a lot of good stuff. So we look forward to putting that before the council soon, that agreement. And, we talked about this early on, that this building that is, outside of being left dormant for quite some time, has so much potential, not even just with the ice rink. It'd be great to see that there could be a community space there for a birthday party. I mean, remember kids, kids' birthday parties there, right, Katie? So there's so much opportunity for that. And, that's a huge objective of this administration, create as many safe spaces as possible for our youth and for our community. I know a lot of different folks, why wasn't used for this? Why wasn't used for that? It's an ice rink. It feels like an ice rink. That's what it was always supposed to be. That's where it should have still been if it wasn't left to rot. So it's good to see it get back to that huge partnership with Rensselaer County. So great to them for supporting it and helping with the funds along with the city as well. So very excited to see.
So revenues from the Freer Ice Rink, where would that be on page 9, or is it on page 9?
We haven't done revenues yet. We're gonna.
No, I understand. I'm just, it's related to the ice rink, so.
I want to say, I'm going to page 9. Should
Is
be
that under other
possibly
recreation
leases.
fees? Is that what it is?
Oh, okay. Okay. So it is, yeah, so that, I'm not, it doesn't look like that's exactly reflected in the revenues. Part of their agreement, they made an investment to bring back the ice at Freer, and they just, maybe a month ago, their monthly, rental payment did start to kick in. So that is a revenue that the city will see. It's about $1,500 a month. I just don't know exactly
Is
where
that
that's
under,
reflected
is
in
that on
this
page
revenues.
10, rental of city-owned real
So
property?
that's
It's not in here at all.
it's not
Gotcha.
included,
Okay.
it sounds like.
All right.
Chair, were you
Councilmember,
done?
I am.
Okay.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
Will the Knickerbocker be year-round ice?
Yes, we look
will.
for it to be a year-round facility.
Okay. Does the city have any plans to sponsor like learn to skate programs? Like Randall used to run those out of
Yes,
both?
yeah, so that was a big part of the agreement that we worked on with the Troy Albany Hockey Association. Not just tangible physical infrastructure in that building, but to commit to camps. I mean, they have which they were excited to do. I mean, they're a bunch of hockey fanatics, coaches. So that's part of it. They'll be, not only will we just have free skate there too, but we'll have youth camp programs, learn how to skate type programs, which I think is really exciting.
I agree. And I think going into the schools to advertise those would be great because Troy schools are not hockey schools. Unless you're in private school, generally the kids in Troy schools are not skaters.
Yeah, exactly. And it will be great to expose our community to that. Again, when a lot of folks said, our kids play this sport, they play that sport. I mean, who knows until a kid tries. We want to expand our kids everywhere we can, whether it's hockey, art, whatever we can do.
Thank you.
Chair.
Council President.
So do we feel comfortable that the 400,000 operating expenses is a safe figure?
Yeah, we think it's realistic for sure. Yeah.
Chair.
Mayor.
If I could also just add to what Seamus said, Council President Steele's aware, and I'm not sure if anyone else has been up there, but the Troy Albany Hockey Association has begun a good partnership up at Fur Park. We hope to expand upon that, but they've reached out to the Troy Boys and Girls Club and other youth groups who, as you said, just aren't exposed to hockey. I grew up on a pond, so I grew up skating. It actually can be an inexpensive sport if you're out for recreation. But saying that, the kids actually went out there with the horses, the chairs, and mentor program, you name it. National Grid was also a partner with that, pizza, soda afterwards. So it's a great partnership. But as Seamus mentioned, we plan to really obviously twofold that and have some public skating and really get like youth groups like Troy Look and others more involved.
Any other questions for the ice rink? All right, hearing none, let's move to Parks, Recreation, and Events. Any questions on this one?
Could you explain what that is? What events are we talking about? And since we're have zero on it, is that something?
If we've spent $221.
So this page should not have made it in the budget. It had an expenditure in a prior year that it was a purchase order from a previous year that carried into this year. And it should have been removed from the budget when it was printed.
So this whole section of the budget? does not-
7150, yeah.
Okay.
Chair. Before we did subsections of all the departments, 7150 was the entire department. It was golf, it was the ice rink, it was everything involved.
I don't think your mic is on. Okay, hold it closer.
So before we did subsections of all the departments, this is how, it was all in one, it was all in 7150. So that's where that number comes from.
Okey-dokey. Getting close to the golf course. The guys have been waiting patiently up there, back there.
Moving right along to the golf course. huh?
Yeah, they've been
Here
waiting.
we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You want to do an overview or just step right in?
Sure. So my name is Josh Buell, who I haven't met before. There's some new council members. I'm used to doing this speech, but I will do it again this year. So this is for the golf course for 2025. How I've always explained this going back years now is 7 years ago, we hired Greg to be the superintendent. He came on 7 years ago. And how I've always explained it is this was a 10-year plan to get the golf course back to where it should be, profitable, enjoying for people to play, in a place people talk about in a positive light for Troy. So how I've always described it is this is year 7, as this is Greg's 7th year at the course. I feel like we're on the right track. There's positive momentum at the golf course. When you talk to people in the community, usually it's positive. We try to get along with the dog walkers and the people who like to use it as a park as well, along with the golf course. We've always tried to be inclusive of everybody that aren't just golfers, that people just use it as a community park as well. So that's been a big emphasis for us for a long time, to have everybody in the community enjoy the park. It's a beautiful park. When you go by it, when you drive through it, there's always people using it. And that's something we're pretty proud of. Any numbers, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Chair.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
I did have someone reach out to me and ask if it was possible that you could change the golf course hours so that when they walked on the cart path, they wouldn't be interfering with the games. Is that,
Yeah, so actually we have changed the hours from, in 2020, we opened later now. So we open at 8 a.m. during the week. Before it was 7 o'clock. So from 5:30 a.m. to 7:55 a.m. Anybody's welcome to walk the park, use the car pass.
Yeah, I think she was talking like 3,
Later.
4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's our busiest time. That's our lead time. That's kind of golf time. How I explain it when residents come into the pro shop, they ask me that same question. Is if you come out, around 6:30, 7 o'clock, it's pretty quiet then, and go up to the 4th hole, go up to the 7th hole, enjoy the sunset, enjoy the quiet. And I think that's the best time to use the park if you're not a golfer.
Could you speak to overtime? What is overtime on the golf course? Is that like cleanup from storms? Is that?
Overtime is basically, so from April 1st to, well, we'll see when we close this year. The weather's great, so we're open later this year, hopefully. We're open from 5 a.m. is when Greg will start cutting grass, cutting greens, to 9 p.m. at night. So it's 7 days a week. It's 16 hours a day. So, we're union employees from 7 to 3:30 are our hours. If we have to come in before 7 and after 3:30, that's what the overtime budget would be for. So tournaments are big on Saturdays. So to set up for the tournaments, Greg's there, I'm there. That's the overtime pay.
Thanks.
I had a question about line item 303, other materials. The first two. You're at 36,000. It's budgeted for 50,000. And the next one is in your first 6 months of spending, I'm sorry. Then budgeted for 145,000 for 6 months, 131,000.
Yeah, so that a lot of that is our prep to get ready for our ordering for the start of the season. So 24-20 is, ordering stuff that we need to get the course going. 24-21 is our chemical order, which we'll place right at the beginning of the year. After we place that initial chemical order, that's a bid order. We don't order many more chemicals for the rest of the year. So that's why you see a big first 6 month expenditure, because that's to get us going for the start of the season.
Would that be similar for 401-54 and 401-55, gas and water?
Same type thing. Yeah, just getting ready for the start of the season. You're going to see a bump because we're getting going heavy at that time.
Line item 408 and 409, dues and subscriptions, consultant services. Is that going to be similar where you're almost spent on your allocated funds in the first 6 months, but it's going to be the get?
Same thing. I mean, consultant services, we're doing stuff to get the course ready. So if we have a tree issue from the wintertime, we're going to get them in to do the tree service that we can't do just because the trees are too big. So that's what you're going to see with that line for the most part.
Thank you. Any other questions for the golf course? Councilmember
Chairman.
Keel?
Yes. Do we break even with the golf course?
So in the past, we have not. This year, should be more than breaking even on our annual budget. So last year was the first year we took over $1 million in revenue since we've ever opened the course. This year, we will take in over $1.22 million by the time the year ends. The forward progression, 2020 is the kind of year I throw out because it was COVID. All the rules were kind of crazy. 2021 was about 800. 2022 is about 800. 2023 is $1 million. 2024 is 1.25 million, in that range. The forward progression is always pushing forward. We're an incredibly busy golf course. We almost don't have enough times for the amount of golf that we have at the course. So in the past, it has not been over the last 9, 10, 11 years. In the future, I would stake everything I've put into the golf course that yes, we will be profitable. And this year we will take in more than we spent for the 2024 budget.
It's great news.
Council President Brown, Chairman Bryan.
Sorry.
Councilmember Casey?
Season passes, up, down?
The number of passes was
Yeah.
up this year,
Huh?
more than we had in 23.
More, even with the price increase last year.
Correct.
There's no projected price increases this year, correct?
No, I think it's important. We have raised rates the last 3 years at the golf course. So I think it's important. I talked to the Schenectady Muni golf course manager at Capitol Hills, which is Albany Muni's golf course. I think you raise it for 3 years. Obviously, it's something we had to do. Our rates were way too low in the past. We decided not to raise them for 25 because I think it's important to see the numbers without one rate increase for a 2-year period of time, and then adjust our business plan after that year of no rate increases to see what the numbers look like. Golf, of course, is weather related. There's a million things that can affect golf course revenue, but I think it's important to see a year without the rate increase, with the golf course being in tremendous shape, to see what those numbers look like. And then I think there's definitely a plan to increase the rates again, make more money for the city, but do it in a way where you're not gouging the residents.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the golf course? Hearing none. Thank you. Mayor.
Super quick. These two, and I think I can vouch for all of us, including yourselves. Great team over here, Josh and Greg. You balance each other out incredibly. I've gotten to know them the years I was council president, and kudos to the prior administration and the prior councils for investing into the golf course, investing in Greg. It was in deplorable condition. Jim Gully, myself, a number of people bipartisan stepped up to the plate. And we've come a long way over the years as someone who tries to golf. And I say try, I am in a league. It just has come around twofold. And very quickly, the partnership with the neighborhood. And I live off of the golf course as you do also, council member. It's so premier, whether it be the Park Pub working with the neighborhood, but Greg and Josh really make an effort to work with the neighborhood, whether it be signage in the park on 15th, no hitting golf balls, to painting the fence over at the park. They really have done so much, not just on the golf course, but all around Fair Park, and a great partnership with Fair Park Conservancy, the trails. If you haven't been to the trails at Fair Park, they're absolutely amazing. So anyway, it truly is a jewel. And I want to thank these two for really bringing it to the next level. Greg is also has a background in arborist. He is a tree expert, and he has planted a number of trees along the roadway, along the golf course. So he's really done a great job, really merging the environmental with the golf course.
Hey, said
Ditto.
he also waters flowers. He does.
Thank you for everything. I have heard from a lot of golfers that they're excited to come back into Troy and start golfing again. You guys are doing amazing work, and happy we're turning a profit while also providing a great service. Thank you. Moving on to Youth Bureau.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back. Good to see you again. Do you want to give an overview here or just jump right into this budget?
We the gist of this budget is for the youth services specialist, that's Victor. So we hired him under this budget, and also the contracts for services for youths at 260,000 is actually for the staffing of the pools.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The 260,000 is for the staffing of the pools.
Staffing of the pools.
All right.
409. Oh, and then we are looking into additional funding grants for staffing of the pools as well. We're actually working on that as we speak. So hopefully we can get some good news in the next few months.
Sure.
Council President.
On that subject, I'm assuming we're budgeting for 2 pools.
This one is for South Troy, what we're budgeting for. Then we're hopefully going to get the grants that we are applying for to staff the Nick pool.
And if we don't get the grants, what's the plan?
Yeah, well, I mean, with the amount of money that's in here right now, we we're gonna look to see what the contracts are and what the contracts would look like to have those staff in at both facilities.
Chair.
Councilmember Rivera.
The $260,000 for the South Troy pool, the staffing, that we spend that
It's not-
amount every year.
It's not entirely that.
What else is included on that line item?
We do the reimbursement for the volunteer recreation and youth organization of Troy. So not-for-profits coming to submit some receipts to South Troy Pop Warner or Landsberg Royals, anything that, you know, they need help with purchasing equipment or anything, we reimburse them for that.
So then how much of the 260 is staffing of the South Troy pool?
About 180.
And to pipe into not only there's a couple other opportunities are there for funding sources, not just these different state grants, are there funding sources as well? But, you know, it's possible through different this youth funding, through CDBG funding. There's a couple different outlets that you can utilize for lifeguards, youth support. You know, so that's something that we're looking to tap into once we do get that second pool.
But the plan currently is to seek the funding to staff the new pool. It's not in the budget. The staffing for the new pool is not.
The staffing for the Knickerbocker is not in the pool, and not in this budget, no.
Okay.
In the contracted, in that line, no.
It is in here elsewhere?
I'm just saying it's not under this contracted services in the youth.
Is it in the budget elsewhere, though?
It's not.
It's not, okay.
Chair? Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Councilmember Smith McLaren.
I know that this past summer, there were several days where the pool was not able to open because of staffing issues. Is there a plan to rectify that going forward?
Wasn't necessarily staffing issues. There was other issues that caused for the pool to close down, such as chemical
right.
levels and whatnot. But for staffing issues, we didn't have much of that. No, we had it open longer throughout the day and the season, but regarding staffing issues, it wasn't terrible. No, not at all.
Okay, because the rumor mill made it sound like it was because of staff.
If there's a reason why the pool is closed down, it's not regarding staffing issues.
Okay, thanks.
One of the times that I heard the rumor mill going, the motor had burnt out. People were just
Right.
assuming it was staffing shortage.
Chair?
Council President.
Regarding the youth services specialist, so one is going to the ice rink, correct? Is that currently vacant?
That's correct.
Can you speak to the other one? What does that position look like? It's currently filled, and what does that person do?
So that person does a phenomenal job engaging our youth organization. So, you know, before it kind of felt like that the model of the youth department was almost waiting for different organizations to come to the city and say, what could you do? You know, this person in this spot, I mean, Victor does a great job working with all different organizations. I think you're even familiar with him. He may sit on a board at the Troy, the Lansingburg Boys and Girls
Lansingburg.
Club with you. Very great, not only just meshing the different partnerships throughout the city, but from all avenues, not just youth sport groups, but Boys and Girls Clubs, all these different groups and organizations. He's worked on various programs so far where we've had youth come into City Hall multiple times a day at City Hall, those types of events. He's coordinated volunteer efforts in our parks for different youth groups, not just even young groups, all the way up to high school college kids. He works, him and our diversity coordinator, Kevin Pryor, work very closely together, go into our schools constantly. Different various, Troy High School, for example, there is a, up there for breakfast every Tuesday, engage our youth. Going back to thinking differently, like the mayor said earlier, our police department has been leaning on them. Different situations that don't even require necessarily the typical traditional police interaction. Kevin and Victor have intervened, really engaged our youth. They partner with Questar, working on various different programs on that as well. Helped with getting, preparatory classes for our fire test. The list really goes on, and it's so great to see folks that are just so engaged, so ingrained in our community already. So it's, we really get a lot out of that position, and Victor and Kevin do a tremendous job.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the Youth Bureau? Hearing none. Let's move to the Troy Visitor Center.
I think that's also.
It's all
Chair?
zeros.
I think that
Chair.
should also not have been.
Mayor.
in the-
We love it. We do. Seamus and I do like that one. If I may, just to take a step back, I was a little surprised you didn't mention overtime. One of the things we learned when we took office, the $5,400 in line 103 of the Youth Bureau was actually utilizing the prior youth specialist to stay after hours to open and close the NIC if say some outside groups used it. It really was not a good use of money or good use of a worker, an employee. So saying that, once again, as Seamus and all of us have mentioned, we're thinking differently now. We take care of it in-house without using that $5,400 of overtime, having someone sit there for hours after their position, their time is ended. So, another savings, something simple. And yes, it sounds very trivial, but this is just another example of thinking differently. And now, Joe is utilizing staff without having to use overtime to open and close the Knickerbocker Park for softball tournaments, you name it. We have a good partnership with even some residents who keep an eye on the park. So it's really come a long way. And I just wanted to add that. And, Kevin, Joe, Shane have really done a great job just looking at things differently.
No. Did anyone have anything for the Troy's Visitor Center? So program for the aging? It's all zeros.
Two groups, the East Side and the Troy Senior Group. They utilize this money to go on trips to Lake George, Minnehaha. They had a senior gala, which we partnered with the county and was up at Franklin Terrace, and each of them brought a spouse or daughter, son, you name it. They danced till midnight, I think, and we stopped by. It really is a great time. And Yolanda, I can't say enough about her as the head of the Troy Senior Group and the other folks.
Any questions for the senior services? All right, let's circle back a little bit to General Service Administration on page 59. The first question I would have would be postage. It's budgeted for 600 in the first 6 months. We spent $2,230.
Yeah, that was a mixed communication. Typically, we don't use postage out of my budget, so we need to rectify that. So there was miscommunication with someone using my budget line in the postage machine, but we'll clarify that.
Understood. Thank you. Any other questions for General Service Administrations?
Yeah, Chair,
Council President?
can you explain what's going on with the account clerks?
So, like the position in code enforcement where there was a position being reclassified from a principal account clerk to a senior account clerk, in this department, it's kind of like a swap. There will be a reclassification of a senior account clerk to a principal account clerk.
And there's currently someone in the position?
There is currently someone in the position that would go into the position provisionally.
Any other questions? Hearing none, moving on to facilities maintenance. First question would be line item 200 for the equipment and capital. Prior incumbents was 783,000. It's currently budgeted for 0.
Yes.
That must have been something that they used for a capital plan that wasn't budgeted last year as well. It's typically budgeted at 0.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a moment, Chair.
Yeah, give us a sec. I'll take it for now, if I can have a moment. 405 rentals. Could you explain that line, please?
Yep, so that is for the rent for City Hall. We budgeted for what we owe for next year, and that's why we decreased the amount, so it could fit perfectly for that amount.
Okay, because I see we're paying part of our rent, but we're not paying all of our rent. And per the contract, and I'm just curious when we're gonna be handling that.
I'm sorry, Council President, can you just clarify what exactly you mean by that?
Yeah, we're not paying the operational expenses in the lease.
Well, so, and I can have our corporation counsel come up to discuss that a little bit more, but we're, as we all know, that we renegotiated a lease for the current city floor. That actual rent charge is being paid. There are some of those extra charges that are currently, we're going back and forth with the building owner. There's a bit of a discrepancy in what it looks like that they're trying to charge.
But it's in the lease agreement that was signed that you sent me today.
That is
I
not.
guess we will agree to disagree, but
No, I'll have our corporation counsel, should be able to explain.
What exactly are you referring to in the extension?
The operational costs in the lease agreement.
Correct.
The additional rent costs, you were paying the base rent.
Correct.
But in Article 4 and a few other, it outlines other expenses, and we're not, according to the invoices that I received, we don't seem to be paying them.
We're paying the amount that they disclosed to us at the prior to signature on the extension. There's a dispute over whether or not they informed us of an increase that they're now trying to impose retroactively.
But it's in the contract that was the lease agreement that was signed.
Correct. In the
It's-
contract,
It mentions that these additional expenses would be would be charged.
The additional expenses that they would disclose to us prior to execution, and they did not.
Uh-huh,
That's the dispute.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're clarifying anything before we just spend the taxpayers' money, of course.
Of course.
Councilmember Katie. It's been
Thank
declared.
Could you explain the increase in the 404, the first one to repairs equipment?
So that could be to Councilman Vera's question about the traffic, the streetlights. So we increased that line to come up with some ideas for next year to make some repairs. And one of those repairs can be to the lights in the streets.
Okay, thank you.
Chair.
Mayor.
Well, we're also on City Hall, just an update. We have narrowed the 8 proposals down to 4. We're deep diving into the final 4. And we hope to have a proposal before the council early December.
Thank you. Any other questions for facilities maintenance?
Chair.
Councilmember Vera.
I might have, I heard a question and I apologize, I missed it. Has it already been asked 401, 54 utilities? The $101,000 increase on that line
The
item?
streetlight repair.
No, that would have been repairs, which is
Oh, right, I'm sorry.
40468.
Oh, that is an increase from National Grid and our solar system as well. So we're anticipating, we're anticipating the solar increase in with National Grid. So there's two items out of there. So
when you say the solar increasing, I'm sorry, could you
solar
elaborate? The solar makes us money.
well, we're in contract with NextEra, so we have to pay what.
Oh, we have a revised solar contract?
We have had a solar contract with NextEra since the receiver sold that array to NextEra. I think that was 21 or 22.
So this is a contractual increase in.
So we also have, we are now, the receiver has now sold a second array, the 11 arrays, I guess, that they are to Sunlight Energy, and we have to pay their charges too. You have to buy the power that they purchase, as you are aware. We have to buy the power that they produce. That power goes into the grid, and then National Grid gives us a credit for it.
Could you send me a copy of that, the revised contract? With NextEra, the two entities that you just mentioned, could you send me a copy of the revised?
I can give you a copy of the power purchase agreements that were originally negotiated with MSAP 13, which is the predecessor to NextEra, and Monolith Solar. When Sunlight took over from Monolith Solar, they just took an assignment of the contract. The same thing with NextEra.
Okay.
Okay. So is that what you want provided?
Yes.
Just, yeah, just because to clarify what the deputy corp counsel, like just to reiterate actually what he said, that's not a new agreement. That is a previous agreement, a contractual increase. And I know this is actually a good opportunity to bring this up. I know we've talked about reviewing our water contracts and all these other different agreements. The solar is definitely on the list as well, you know.
Any other questions for facilities maintenance?
Chair, can I just another shout out to the facilities crews? Like we keep mentioning, shout out to everybody, but doing a great job from small to large improvements. I mean, from painting our, trash receptacles across the city to, using their own individual talents to, improve some of our own facilities without having to go out to hire an outside contractor, pay probably triple what it would be. Very talented group, very hardworking group too. And personally, for me, I live down that area. Many of you, I'm sure, have noticed it. It's been something we've been talking about for years. I know the mayor has as well, but seeing that Congress Street Bridge free of graffiti is awesome. And that was all facilities. So couldn't speak more highly of that crew and their supervisor, Sean.
Let's move along to Central Garage.
How are we doing? My name's Chris Hart, Supervisor of Equipment Repair. Questions, feel free to ask.
Chair.
Councilmember Vera.
How long have you been in the position?
Since last July.
Last July.
Been with the city going on my 15th year next June, so
15 years, you said?
June 6th will be my 15th
Wow.
year starting.
Have you been working at the garage
my whole time
whole
with the
time?
city? Yes.
So do you have any thoughts on the budget?
Essentially, I tried to keep it the same, just pulled money from elsewhere to increase my repair line because parts and the cost of repairs has been going up every year.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it looks pretty good.
Any other questions? Perfect. Thank you. Nailed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shout out to Chris too. Sorry, had to do that. I have to say I mean, I might sound silly saying this, but when we first came in and there was the snowstorms and I was wondering, okay, like all the plows are out, Chris is, at the garage, like what, how much could really break down in the middle of a storm? Everything does. Everything does. So not just with the snowstorms, but we're trying to keep up on all of our equipment and vehicles, but without someone as talented as Chris and his crew, it would be impossible. So really good job.
It's right before.
Then our final topic is engineering.
We still have to do revenues, right?
What's that?
Revenues?
56.
We haven't done any yet.
Is revenue
55, 56.
Probably gonna do it the next meeting.
No, don't you want to go over the revenues that affect these departments?
We can.
That's usually what we do.
All right.
It's-
We can. I don't.
I don't know. Last I looked, Chair, the
Soriento?
Yankees are down 2-0, man. First inning. Hopefully that
I do too.
changes.
I'm a Red Sox fan.
What was that?
What can I say?
Yeah,
What can I say?
We're gonna take a
What can I say?
quick break.
Cheers to the break.
Seriously? We're taking a break?
Irene needs to go.
Okay.
Real quick break.
Okay, all right.
All right, we're back. We are going to go into engineering now. Russ, do you want to do an overview?
Before we start, can I point something out, please?
Yeah.
So the engineering aid position was supposed to have been deferred until September of 2025 to allow for $10,000 in the overtime line of 103. So we would like to make that amendment. Yeah. It was originally deferred to June is what you're seeing in the salary savings, but we're going to defer it through September as what we intended to do.
And you're putting,
Yeah, so from June to September that's 25,000?
It's actually
11,000.
11,784, but 10,000 we're going to move into the temporary,
10.
or not temporary, I'm sorry, the overtime line.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Chair,
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
does that overtime line already include that amount or that will be amended?
you'd have to add it.
It will be amended
Okay.
to show 10,000
Okay.
there.
Thank you.
Should I just give a little introduction?
Sure.
Okay. My name is Russ Reeves. I'm the city engineer here in Troy, New York. In the engineering department, we interface very closely with a number of departments, code enforcement on engineering and construction issues. Most recently, we resolved some issues with retaining wall that was at the corner of, it was a complicated project at the corner of Sheldon Avenue and Pauling. We interface with other engineering firms that work as consultants for the city of Troy, who run into hiccups with our infrastructure. We interface with them to bring about, in a collaborative manner, to bring about a resolution of these things, specifically Kinloch Park. Drainage issue was a difficult drainage issue was occurring at Kinloch Park due to the soils and drainage issues. We partnered with, the city partnered with Emma Willard, and we were able to interconnect and interface with their existing drainage system, helping to better drain Kinloch Park. We also interface with the planning department in reviewing each project, arriving at engineering issues that have to be resolved. We interface with the applicant's engineer to bring about a reasonable solution. One of the ways that the city has been able to save money under the mayor and deputy mayor budget is we interact, all departments are interacting so as to provide support interdepartmentally. For example, Department of Public Utilities interfacing with Department of Public Works to keep expenses down. We share personnel, share equipment. Likewise, interfacing with our own facilities, fire department buildings, police department buildings, where there's structural issues and so forth. I meet, we internally, we meet routinely with facilities, Sean Kiley, to address some of the building issues we have. So we were able to save money in those areas. Where we need supplemental personnel in engineering, we'll interface with the folks in Department of Public Utilities and draw from staff assistance. Likewise, in Joe's department, Public Works. So we were able to save money in these areas, keep costs down, do a lot of the work in-house, both engineering and construction. Having said that, we're going to be starting our dam inspection. The city of Troy has 11 dams. We'll be starting that work shortly now that vegetation is starting to minimize. With that, are there any questions that the board, the city council may have?
Chair.
Council President.
So Russ, do you feel that where there have been cuts, you feel that they're sustainable and you can live with them?
I feel that they're very sustainable and we can live with those.
Any other questions for engineering? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russ.
Joe, could you just run us through the revenues quick? Sorry.
To thank Russ, very, very fortunate to have landed such an experienced and professional engineer and has really honed in those consulting services and has done just a phenomenal job walking into a number of infrastructure necessities, a landslide, nice storm, Eddie's Lane Pump, the water treatment plant has a plan to upgrade it. I just really want to thank Russ for all your hard work and your dedication to the city. Thank you, Russ. Thank you. And Chair, regarding revenues, I wish we had coincided with the departments.
Yeah, I made a
you know,
mistake. That's
it's-
my fault.
Are there specific ones that you want to go through? I mean, you know, I really wish like some of the supervisors, we probably can answer most of them, but normally you'll hit those together. I just figured you didn't have questions, you know?
Nope,
So.
just made a mistake. My fault.
Sure.
Councilmember Vera.
I'll just hit on big ticket revenue items then. Where are we at with code enforcement revenue for the year, building permits and
We're at par, if not a little bit of increase from last year for the permits for that. We did, it was typically budgeted a little higher than expected, but for next year, we decrease amount to be more realistic with what kind of projects are in the.
I saw
in the
that.
plan.
So
Yeah.
your projection is to decrease that by 300,000?
Correct.
But you're increasing street opening permits. Thank you, Deputy Corporation Counsel.
Chair.
Mayor.
Just on that note, very briefly, it is getting late, but the deputy mayor, Joe, commissioner here, myself, and the departments really are going to take a look at outdoor dining and other types of events and how we can clean up the policy. And so over the fall and winter, we'll be meeting with various businesses to, you know, prepare for next season.
Thank you. Any other questions on revenue? Hearing none. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by
Second.
Keel, second by Katie Swain McLaren. All in favor?
Thank you,
All opposed?
everybody. Thank you.